Hello everyone, welcome to Jolly Molly TV. Today we're going to stitch out another fun block in this amazing project by Urban Threads called Build a Halloween Bookshelf. In today's video we're going to stitch out this block right here that's called Book of Spells. So gather all your supplies and let's head over to the machine and let's get started stitching. Alright, we're at the machine. I have put a bobbin with black bobbin thread down below, and I've put a piece of the poly no-show mesh stabilizer in my hoop and put my hoop on my machine. I have black thread up on top because I want it to match my fabric. So we're going to do the first few stitches in that black thread. All right. So let's go to the screen cam and let's load the design. I have a Baby Lock Destiny machine. If you have something similar, you can follow along. I'm going to click on Embroidery. I'm going to click on the flash drive. I'm going to click on my folder Halloween bookshelf where I've placed all the files. And in this video, we're going to be doing the Book of Spells block, which is this one right here. Look at all those cool books. That one's going to be fun to make. So let's click Set. I don't need to do anything to it. I'm going to click Embroidery. All right, now if you've watched the previous videos, you know that we stitched the last stitch first. And what that is this outside line, which helps us have a placement line for the batting. Then we tack down the batting, and then we tack down the fabric. So click the plus or minus key, and then I'm going to go back one stitch. There we go. It took me to the very last stitch in this block, which gives me that outline. And that's the stitch that we're actually going to stitch out 3 times in a row. Okay? So let's go back to the hoop cam. And we are good to go. So I've got black thread up on top. So let's put the foot down and let's stitch out the placement line for the batting. Okay, now I'm going to lay the batting down, making sure that it covers all of that placement line. And I'm going to go back to the screen. It says finished embroidering, yes. Now I need to go backwards because it automatically went to the first stitch again. I need to go back one stitch to the very last stitch of this block, which is that outline again. We're going to stitch that out again, and this time we're going to use it to tack down the batting. Here we go. Okay, you're going to take the hoop gently off the machine, and then you're going to take this over to a table, and you're going to use your curved scissors, and you're going to trim away all of the excess binding from around all 4 sides, and then I'll meet you right back here. Okay, so the batting's all trimmed up. Then we go back to the screen cam, and I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to go backwards one more time because I need that outline stitch again. There it is. Now we're going to stitch this out again for the 3rd time, which will allow us to tack down the fabric. Okay, so speaking of fabric, I need you to get your fabric out and lay it down on top of the batting. You can feel for the sides and just kind of get it approximately centered. There, that looks good. All right, and so let's stitch this outline stitch to tack down the fabric. All right, you got it. So now what I want to do is just take it off the machine ever so gently, and I just want to clean it with a piece of Scotch tape, which gets all the batting fuzz or dust off of the block so that part doesn't get stitched in to my stitches. Okay, that looks good. It just shows up more on a piece of black fabric than what it would normally. Let me get one more piece of tape. You're going to see every ounce of dust on black. So there we go. Okay, so now I just want to give you a reminder on the color thread sheet that you printed out. The thread colors do not go down. They go left to right. So this is number 1, this is number 2, 3, 4, etc. Left to right, all right? So make sure you don't get your colors messed up. So the first color we're going to put in is Baby's Breath, step number 1. It's going to work on the spooky spider webs. Oops, I've got black thread up on top. Let's take that out. Here we go. And I'm going to click OK on the embroidery machine, and it's automatically going to go to the very first stitch, which you'll see is the spider web. So that's the cool thing. It automatically will advance to the next step, which in this case is the first step. All right, we got this. All right, so let's stitch this out. This is a 6-minute in real life stitch out. Enjoy. My white thread didn't get detached there. Not a problem. I can come right in and trim that. Okay, so we're done with the Baby's Breath. That's cool. All right, so let's do step number 2, which is terracotta, which is going to be 2 books. I love watching the books stitch out, the way they do the stitching and the shading. It's really fun to watch. Relaxing too. So let's go ahead, put your terracotta thread in the top of your machine. Make sure there's no loops, which there's a loop. Get that out. And let's stitch out these 2 books. This is a 6-minute and real life stitch out. Here we go. Very nice. Okay, so we're going to now go to step number 3, which is going to be copper, and it's going to do accent shading on both of those books. Okay, so go ahead and put your copper thread up on top, and we're going to stitch this out. This is a 3-minute in real life stitch out. You got this. All right, let's go. All right, so I'm going to check my bobbin. I didn't start with a full bobbin. I was using a partial. And so I want to see. Yeah, I'm down. I'm going to replace it because I've got another set of 2 books coming up here. And I really don't want to have to stop in the middle of that and try to make the line work look pretty. So I'm just going to replace it now. And I'll use that little straggler next time when I do some more of the outer lines, like when we're securing the batting and stuff. There we go. Let me explain why I do this. When you're doing the initial stitch out here, if you run out of bobbin thread in the middle of that, then it's kind of a challenge to back up 10 stitches and have it not look like a thicker line in that shading. If it's the secondary shading, it seems to not be noticeable. But on the first level of shading where we did this terracotta, you would see a slightly thicker line and it might not look clear. That's why I go ahead and replace my bobbin if I know that I'm not going to make it through the next book in that initial shading. Again, the secondary shading doesn't seem to matter because that's already going on top of the first color and a thicker line doesn't show up. But on the first color, it does. So that's why I do that. Otherwise, I would just, use this all up and let the sensor, if it's working properly, go off. Sometimes my sensor doesn't go off and then I'm stitching nothing. So I kind of watch it carefully. All right, so now we're on number 4, which is Coffee Bean, which is going to be another 2 books, the first color of the 2 books. So again, that's why I want to have a nice new bobbin so that I won't run out since it's the first color that's going down. Okay, again, shading color is fine, but I like to do it clean for the first color. So let's stitch this out. This is a 4-minute stitch out. Here we go. Okay, so the coffee bean is done. You got this. See, you get into a rhythm and they just follow the color chart step by step. You got this. Okay, so number 5 is khaki. And khaki is going to do some accent shading on those 2 books that we just stitched out. If I can find the end of the thread. So go ahead and put your khaki thread in your machine. And this is approximately a 3-minute stitch out. 1 step at a time. And we got a little loop. Get that out. And here we go. Okay, don't you love how that comes out? Okay, so let's go to step number 6, which is going to be dark teal. And we're going to do another book. It's going to be the book right here in the dark teal. So put that thread on your top of your machine. You got this. All right. This is a 3-minute in real life stitch out. Ooh, we got a loop. And I'm going to use my stylus to get it out because it's a little close to the arm here for me to get my arm in, right? Okay, let's put the foot down and let's stitch out the dark teal book. Look at those books come to life. Don't you love it? All right, so now we're on step 7 already. And that is going to be the green turquoise thread, which is going to give this shading to that book that we just stitched down. So go ahead and put your green turquoise thread up above. Foot down, and this is a 2-minute stitch out. Here we go. Very nice. So now we're going to get to stitch out the purple book. Step number 8, majestic purple. All right, so go ahead and put that purple thread up on top. You've got this. You're doing really well. We're cranking through these books, huh? Okay, this is a 2-minute in real life stitch out. And let's do it. Okay, so you guessed right. What's the next step? The shading on that purple book. So this is step 9, which is your mystic lavender thread. So go ahead and load your machine with that. We got it. Oops. There we go. This is only a 1 minute stitch out. And we got a loop. And there we go. So let's stitch out the shading on the purple book. Okay, so now we're on step 10, which is the coffee bean colored thread, because now we're going to work on the shelf. So go ahead and load your machine up with your coffee bean thread. This is a 7-minute in real life stitch out. Oops. Got a loop. Put your foot down, and here we go. That is so cool. Every time I see that shelf stitch out, I like it. It's so amazing how they can do that stitching one way and then come back at a slight angle and get that complete coverage. Just amazing. Okay, so now we are on step 11, which is emerald black. It's going to do a bunch of line work. So in my case, I'm using the blue black that I've been using for all the other blocks for the line work. So load your machine with your version of emerald black, and let's go ahead and stitch out this line work. It's about a 4-minute in real life stitch out, and we don't have a loop, so we're good to go. All right, let's do this. All right. So that line work looks real good. Okay, so that was step 11. Now we're on 12, which is copper. So now it's going to do some outlines, looks like. Right standing book line work, yes. So go ahead and load your copper thread in the machine, and we're going to do some line work. I really enjoy watching this stitch out, and I hope you do too. Very relaxing. Oh, we got a loop. Let's get that out. Put the foot down, and this is a 6-minute and real life stitch out. Here we go. How's it going? Don't you love how this is coming out? Just love to see this come to life. All right, so let's do step number 13, which is green turquoise. It looks like it's going to do an outline on the outside of that book. All right, so load your machine with your green turquoise. And this is a 2-minute stitch out. Let's do it. Okay, very nice. We are coming right along. So now we're on number 14, which is going to be khaki. Oops. I am still attached to the fabric. That's okay. Trim that off. Okay. So now we're going to do the outline on the brown books, and I think maybe on this book here. Or no, this book right here. So we're going to put khaki thread up above. So we are looking at step number 14. Okay. You're doing it. You're almost done. In reality, you are so close. There's only 19 steps in this block, and you're on number 14. How about that? This is a 3-minute and real life stitch out. Let's do it. Okay, now we're on to step 15, which is Mystic Lavender. So it's going to do some outline on that book. All right, you've got this. So close. I really hope you're enjoying this project. I love this, and I hope that Urban Threads does more blocks or more tile scenes, I should say, like this, and for different holidays. I think that would be really fun. Even do a Christmas one, do an Easter one, even do a generic one for like birthdays and stuff. That would be really cool. So let's go ahead and put our foot down and stitch this out. 2 minutes in real life. Sweet. Okay, now for I think one of my favorite parts is we're going to put the sawdust thread, or in my case, the gold, back in the top of our machine. We're on step 16. And we are going to stitch out the golden details on the books. I really love watching this. Very ornate, very elegant. Just like an old vintage library. I love it. So this is a 10-minute in real life stitch out. So just sit back and enjoy as we stitch out the details on the books. Here we go. Okay, you're almost done. All right, we're going to put khaki thread for step number 17, and it's going to do the outline accent on the shelf. Okay, and then we're going to go back on the next step and we'll put sawdust back in again. But this step we're going to do khaki for the shelf. All right, this is a 2-minute in real life stitch out. You got this. Here we go. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check my bobbin, because I have a hunch I am really, really low. What do you think? Yeah, not quite enough to do the next stitch out of the sawdust, which is going to be on the side of the book. So I'm going to go ahead and put a new bobbin in so I don't have to worry about anything for the rest of this block. And I'll use up this little fraction of a bobbin on, like, when we tack down the batting or something on the next block. All right. There we go. So now go ahead and put your sawdust thread back up in the top. In my part, it's the gold thread, because we're going to stitch out the words on the side of the book. This is Book of Spells. All right, you ready? This is a 3-minute in real life stitch out. Let's do it. How amazing does that look? It's slightly out of view, but we'll get there so you can see the whole block in a minute, because we have one stitch left to do. We're going to stitch that outline again in the black thread. That's all we have to do. You got this. This will come in handy when we go to cut the block to size. So I always like to do this one last time. And 1 minute and we're done. Here we go. Now you can see how amazing this block turned out. Look at that. Just beautiful. I hope you love your block as well. We got a couple stragglers here we can deal with. One on the top of the book and one jump stitch there. So let's trim those before I forget that they're there. All right. This looks great. Congratulations, you did it. All right, so let's take the hoop off the machine. Let's take the block out of the hoop and I'm going to go over to the table and I'm going to show you how to finish up this block. Okay, quick change of plans. Go ahead and take this block out of your hoop and just set it aside with all the other blocks that you've already stitched out. What I'm going to do is we're going to stitch all 9 blocks out first, and then I'm going to do a separate video where I show you how to finish all 9 up at the same time. Okay, so I hope you have as much fun making today's block as I did. So please stay tuned here on Jolly Molly TV for more fun blocks in this amazing project, Build a Halloween Bookshelf by Urban Threads. And until I see you next time, take care and happy stitching. Bye-bye.